Hey guys, this is Jackie from Jack Gets Lost Down a Book Hole, and I thought I would update you on my reading life this week. So, unfortunately, I haven't got anything finished, and I'm not surprised because a lot of the books I'm reading currently are big books. Well, one of them is over 500 pages, and then the other two aren't that big, but they still are taking me a while to read. And then one of them was kind of a last-minute decision because another booktuber I was watching was talking about how great the book is, and I wanted to read it. And I remember I started reading it a while back, but then I stopped. So I decided to do a buddy read with my best friend because it's very hard to pick books that we both will really enjoy. But I know she likes horror, and I think classics are a good safe challenge. I know it's a contradiction because they're a bit harder to read, but it's safe because there's other books where the other genres she can be really picky about. Like, she has to love the characters, and I don't like where romance is the main plot point. She does, but even then she's very particular with her romance. So it's very hard for me to, that's the same thing with any genre that she'll read. She has to like the characters and really get into it. So I figured Frankenstein was one of the safer choices. So yeah, that's the one I started reading. I haven't got very far. I only had us read up to the first 4 chapters, including the letters. And because and then I told her we could go up to chapter 8. And since I wanted to finish 1984, I told her to go ahead and read up to chapter 8 if she wanted to. So I don't know if she has. She probably hasn't, but maybe she has. I don't know. But as you can see, I am almost done, and I wanted to finish this, but I also wanted to get this video filmed before tomorrow. And plus, me and my mom and I are gonna do some fixing up in my room a little bit. Doing some things with my room, like we need to finish painting this side of my room, which is currently kind of a yellowish color. And then there's some stuff I want to hang up, and I want to get this done before and I want to film before she comes in the room, because it would be kind of hard for me to film while she's in here. Plus she'll be in the background. And I don't think you guys want that. I mean, especially how my videos are very amateur anyway. So, I really find this book really interesting. Like I said, I'm almost done with it. I'll finish it up today, hopefully. It's one of the first dystopians, and of course this book was published originally in 47. So for George Orwell, 1984 would be the future for him. Unlike for us, where the future would be the late 2000s and maybe the 3000s. Well, not just maybe, it would be, but most of the time we just take it step by step and don't go beyond unless we're writing like a sci-fi space story. So this is definitely really interesting. It's a very it's the typical, one of the main types of themes in dystopians is a government-controlled society, and that's what this is. It's a government-controlled society, particularly totalitarian, which I felt very proud that I could come up with that word. A totalitarian-controlled controlled society, where, there's no individualism whatsoever. And basically, the main protagonist is Winston Smith, and he starts questioning society and questioning how things are run, and recalling vaguely that there was a time when things were different. But, of course, he has to be really careful, and he can't make it obvious that he's questioning things, because any little subtle change, like whether it's expression or like you're talking about something in a public place where there could be people, Big Brother could be watching you. You can't, even one little thing where, if you're making an expression, even have expressed a thought out loud or are making a small expression like with your mouth or your eyes, then Big Brother will come after you. And then while he's questioning it and thinking about how, there are friends of his that are too smart for their own good and are going to become uncitizens, which means that they get vaporized, they get taken out, because he meets this woman, Julia, who he had seen her from a distance and thought she was one of the thought police, and he hated her, he despised her, and she passes him this little note, discreetly, saying that she loves him. So they start having this little affair, and he realizes that she's also questioning the way society is run, and knows that there is more to things. But her thoughts are that you can rebel, but in subtle ways, not in a big extreme kind of way. But of course, what they end up doing is that they find out there are a group of people out there that are rebelling against all this, and they decide to go track them down and find out if there is more going on. Like I said, I haven't finished it yet, but this is really good. Now, my only criticism is that there is one part that was kind of boring to me, and that's Winston finds out about this book written by this famous rebel, Goldstein, who the Big Brother, has been trying to prevent him from being known by the world, like for everyone to forget about him. But Winston seems not to have forgotten about him, and he finds out from this rebel group that there is a book out there where he talks about his philosophies and explains why things are the way they are. And there is a whole part where he's reading the book, and you actually have what he is reading on the page. And to me, because it's essentially like reading a textbook, it's kind of boring for me. Now, I know it's interesting for the character, but not for me personally. But that might be, and I realize that, of course, this book might not be everybody's cup of tea, because, not everybody likes dystopians, and this is not an easy thing. It's, despite the writing style being very modern and easy to read, it's not everybody could get into this story, and compared to, like, Hunger Games and Divergent, it's kind of boring. But some people, such as myself, might actually not find it boring. It's definitely it's more of an intellectual read than a fun, exciting, adventurous YA read where, the good guys are trying to take back their society and stop the evil government, and that there's a chosen one and everything. And one second. Come on. It's definitely not like that, because Winston is definitely not a chosen one. He's just a regular guy who's questioning how things are done. So it's not exactly the most exciting read, but it's definitely an interesting read and very fascinating. And I think it's it could it could be relevant to today's society, even if it was written in the 40s and it's about 1984. Because there's always this fear, I feel like, of government-controlled society, that the government will one day take away our rights. And it's disturbing reading it, and all the things that these people are trying to control, like, even sex, they control sex. Like, you can't have passionate romantic sex, you just have sex because, to quote Winston's wife, it's for the good of the party, or it's for the sake of the party, or something. I can't remember the exact expression, the exact phrase. I'd have to go through, and that would take too much time. But, yeah, they do it for the sake of the party, essentially, because it's their duty to the party. That's the phrase, I think that's the phrase. And, like, the kids, and then their kids, if they have kids, then their kids could sell their kids are brainwashed into being like, if your parents are rebelling against the party, then turn them in. And it's kind of scary, and that is very scary too. And they're basically trying to not just take away individuality, but dumb us down, so we won't question society, and we won't rebel. We won't rebel against the government, and we won't start to realize that there's more to this, and that we're being controlled and manipulated. We'll be too brainwashed and too focused on being individual, not being individual, and being told. I mean, there's a quote there, their slogan. The slogan of the society is, "War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength." So they want people to be dumb, and people are convinced that is their beliefs, that is a good belief system, that it's better to be ignorant, and that it's better to be, that slavery means freedom, even though that's a total contradiction. Slavery means you're in prison. You can't make your own choices. You don't have free will if you're a slave. But the people of the society are so manipulated into thinking that's they don't realize that they're not smart enough to discover that's a bit of a contradiction. And there's also they take away one of Winston's friends, who eventually gets vaporized because he's too smart for his own good. He's someone who he will go through the words in the dictionary and eliminate all the adjectives that basically say the same thing as the one word. All the other adjectives that could mean good, something's good or something's bad, he'll get rid of all those words and just make, just use good. And instead of saying bad, or terrible or something, it's ungood. Something that's ungood means the same thing as bad. And Winston's job is to rewrite history, get rid of anything that questions the government, any facts that questions the government. He's supposed to get rid of it, or anything written down that refers to individuality and differences. He gets rid of it. So I really enjoyed this book. I think it's fascinating. Like I said, it's not for everybody because it's not as exciting as Divergent or Hunger Games. It's not as brutal, but it's the controlling, but it's still the same idea of a controlling government. So I would recommend this. Again, it's not for everybody, but I would check it out because it's one of the first dystopians that was ever written. And it's also funny that it was written in the 40s, in the late 40s. So that fear was relevant even back then. Okay, so the other book I read, like I said, I started reading Frankenstein, but I only got to the first 4 chapters, So, it starts with this guy sailing to, I'm trying to think, where is he going? St. Petersburg, trying to think, I think that's in Russia. He's sailing to Russia, and when his crew the vessel he's on gets stuck in the snow and the ice. Him and the crew see this man, that's a little too big for a man, sailing along the water. And then at the same time, his crew, a few days later, his crew comes across another man and brings him on board, and he's freezing and everything, so they take care of him. And then the man reveals that, he asked about if they saw anyone like that, and they say that they did. And he proceeds to tell the one who, them the story of his life and how his connection to this mysterious other man that they saw. So I'm not very far, essentially. But like I said, I want to finish 1984, and I'm really close to finishing that one. But from what I heard, what I like is that, a lot of movies that now are based on the Frankenstein novel, they dumb down the creature and just make him this brute. So I wanted to read the original, especially since I watched Penny Dreadful for a little while. I don't know why I stopped, but I was watching it, and I think that show, and that's when I started hearing how, like, the creature, the Frankenstein creature, the Frankenstein monster is nothing like how he's portrayed in a lot of movies. Like, I think the one before the Penny Dreadful series, the one that got close, from what I've been told, I've been told about the story and everything, I feel like the one that got closest to what the Frankenstein monster is really like is the Van Helsing movie starring Hugh Jackman. I think that's the only one that probably the monster is probably closer to the original creation in the book. And I gotta admit, the other reason was more of a shallow reason, which is that I kind of liked the character of Victor Frankenstein and the creation, the Frankenstein monster. I liked them and thought the guy Victor was kind of cute. Victor Frankenstein was kind of cute in the Penny Dreadful series. So yeah, it's kind of a shallow reason, but it is a shallow reason. But I still want to read it. And it's not that long. I mean, the chapters so far are kind of short. It's just the writing can be kind of dull at times, especially the Frankenstein parts. The actual doctor, the human, Victor Frankenstein parts can be kind of dull at times. And like I said, I'm really hoping this buddy read with my best friend Terry will help. And like I said, the chapters are really short. And the other book I'm reading, and if you saw my video on Rhett and Scarlet, you heard me talk a little bit about this book. But this is Roses, and I'm hoping to at some point get the prequel Somerset. I was hoping to get it at the used bookstore, but it's not there. Someone already bought it, and because it's an independent used bookstore, it's one of these things where if you see it, you buy it. You gotta buy it right away, because it's gonna be gone before you know it. I mean, they might have like maybe 2 or 3 copies of the same book, but depending how popular the book is, or who knows, someone might actually read the book and then return it. But I'm sort of a collector. I like keeping my books because I'm hoping one day to come back to them. So with this book, just like Gone with the Wind takes place in the South, it's during the World War I time. And it's about 3 families: the Tolvers, the Warwicks, and I can't remember the other family's name. Let me see. It says in here. It doesn't say it. But I can't remember the third family's name. But Mary Tolver is the daughter of a famous cotton plantation owner, and it starts with him. Well, actually, no, it doesn't technically start with but he has just passed away. Well, first it starts with Mary as an old woman, and she's going to her lawyer, and has talked to him about her will, and tells him that she wants to get rid of their cotton plantation. She does not want to give it to her niece. She wants to sell it. And the lawyer is kind of surprised by this and is like, why would you do that to your niece? I mean, you owe her the plantation. But she's like, no, there's a curse on this plantation. I can't give it to her. I'm doing her a favor. So next we go into the past of Mary's storyline, and we learn about when her father died, she was given the plantation and not her mother, and this really hurt her mother, especially because her mother felt like her father loved the plantation more than he loved her, and and Mary becomes very obsessed with running the Tolver plantation, despite the fact that there is this man, Percy Warwick, who is totally in love with her and wants to marry her, and is like, you either have me or you get rid of the plantation. It's either me or the plantation. And she can't bring herself to get rid of it. And Percy is trying to fight and win her over and persuade her to trade the plantation for him. But she still cannot do it. She keeps pushing him away, despite the fact that she's falling in love with him. And, it's gotten to the point where he's finally starting to give up and walk away. Even though he loves her. So that's as far as I got in this one. Not very far, surprisingly, even though I felt like I read a lot. But this is a big book. It's like, let's see, how many pages? Well, counting the group reading guide, it's 626 pages. But if I don't read that, I read the questionnaire. It's 609 pages. So, but I'm really liking it. And they compare it to Gone with the Wind. I totally agree. It's a lot like Gone with the Wind. Not just with the setting, but the romance, too, is very Gone with the Wind-esque. But it's still two completely different stories. But I'm really enjoying it. I don't know when I'll finish it. I knew going into it that I was not going to finish it this month. And I'm going to try to get in some other books before the month is over. I know I still got a good amount of time. As long as I I'm going to probably throw in some YA books just to, mix it up a little bit. I was trying to take a break from YA. That's why I decided to read 1984 and Roses, to just do something, instead of reading a YA fantasy, read something a little different. Some of my other favorite genres. And I remember I read Hunger Games. I never read Divergent, but I read Hunger Games and I liked that one. I read The Giver years ago, which is another dystopian. I read The Cure, another dystopian, which is really good. So I decided to read I had been wanting to read 1984, and I want to read his other book, Animal Farm, soon. So I decided to go ahead and read that one. So that was my week in reading. I haven't got anything done, but like I said, I'm hoping to get 1984 read by the end of today. So what have you guys been reading this week? Have you a reading list of books that you want to read this month? Or do you make a TBR? Or if not, what are you reading in general? So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. Alright, bye.